video?
You're in the video. We see you now.
Oh, I can't see y'all, but it's all
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Man, when you switch out of the Apple devices, man, graduate to like a Samsung Galaxy or something, man.
I can see you now. I just can't see Gerard.
Scroll your screen over. Now you should be able to see this.
All right, cool.
There we go.
Gotcha.
There we
Perfect.
go. Apple always come through for me.
I ain't never did a Zoom meeting before, so.
Yeah.
All
right. So,
all right.
I want to welcome everyone to the discussion. This is episode 24. We're having a conversation around recent events. It's myself, Gerard, Maurice, and co-host Gerard. How we doing, brother?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm living the dream. And we have a special guest. Gerard, you want to go ahead and introduce him?
Yeah, so this is a good friend of mine. We go back way to the years of college at the University of Cincinnati. He's a local police officer. Sean, how are you doing today, Sean?
Pretty good. How y'all doing today? Nice to meet you, Maurice.
He probably didn't hear you. He got a Android. So, doing good. Mo, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Right. So, Sean, man, it's been an interesting week. It's been a very interesting week. With some of the events that's gone on. I know in Cincinnati there was a stabbing of a 13-year-old by another 13-year-old. We had the Derek Chauvin, the guilty verdict from the Minnesota, from the George Floyd case, and then finally, one of the more intriguing topics, and one of the reasons that we asked you to come today, we had a situation in Columbus where a 16-year-old adolescent was shot fatally by a Columbus police officer. So, man, I think we're going to jump right into it. I want to know, in those high-pressure situations, how are police officers trained when they see someone attacking someone else with a deadly weapon?
So, the particular situation in Columbus, the officer, he had no choice, but to shoot. The girl was about to stab her, the girl in the pink. That girl could have died or lost a liver or kidney. Before he even shot, he told him, he was like, hey, stop. As a police officer, you can only control so much, when you're on scene of a chaotic situation. Unfortunately, some things are just out of your control. You can't, some people you just can't control. So
let me ask you this.
It's an important situation.
But what is there a particular protocol that police officers have when someone is trying to attack someone else? Is there like a rule book that says you need to do this?
Every situation different,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm just throwing a scenario out there. Say if I roll up on the street and I see somebody in the middle of the street that's on top of someone with a knife, me personally, if I see someone in the middle of the street and someone's on top of them with a knife, I don't know if I would feel comfortable shooting, because you could accidentally shoot the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have to just, drive the police car up to them and, push that person off.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the situation in Columbus was totally different. The girl ran towards the officer with a knife, and it just so happened that he had a clear shot and he didn't shoot the victim.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said every situation is different.
Do you think what is your response to some people saying, well, he should have used a taser? What do you think about that?
Nah, man. Sometimes tasers don't even work, because I'm gonna just use like from personal experience. I've been in law enforcement for 8 years. Okay, I've only tased one person in 8 years. Granted, I've had opportunities to tase a lot of people. Like, maybe if I didn't tase them, like another officer I was with tased them. Me personally, I like to go hands-on with people.
Mm-hmm.
it's just me, because with the taser, 2 barbs have to come out the taser and they have to connect. If those barbs don't connect, that taser not gonna work. Period.
Has there ever been a situation where you see those barbs not connect?
Absolutely. There have been. The one guy I actually tased, it was a crazy situation, but it barely took effect.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one time I used it. The guy was just like saying, ouch, ouch, stop, stop. And that just was good enough for me to get him in custody.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And think about in the wintertime when people have on thick coats, them tasers are not going to work.
Okay. I appreciate you letting me know that. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah. And you got to think, at the end of the day, a taser is a tool and it's man-made. Anything that man-made, sometimes it's not going to work, period. It's like your car. Your car is man-made. Sometimes your car is going to have problems. Same thing with a taser.
Same thing with a gun, though, too, right? Because guns are man-made as well.
Absolutely. So, and I hate to go off topic, but did you see the Columbus shooting in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Maurice.
Yeah.
Did you see that officer's gun jammed up?
It jammed, and he had to. Yep.
Oh man, that was a bad day. You know, any tool that a police officer has at any moment in time, it can't work. So.
Yeah. So, hold on. There you go, brother. I got you unmuted. So, question for you, Sean. So, my guy Nathan Ivy, you know, he has his own show, and you know, he's kind of outspoken and saying he doesn't feel the officer was wrong. He's seen the knife. He's seen it. If that was a knife, he's like, you know, I don't feel wrong in that. And there's a lot of people giving him a hard time. And in fact, you know, I made a post saying, you know, from the footage that I've seen, it looked like the officer, look. I used the word justified, and many people did not like me using that word. You know, just wanted to, you know, you kind of spoke to it a little bit, but if you could just share a little more, kind of your thoughts on when your first reaction to it.
I mean, it was the situation unfolded super quick.
Super quick.
I mean, as soon as he got out the car, he walked up to the girl in the pink. He said, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's kind of like almost when the girl in the pink and him was, you know, about to have a conversation, the trouble just fell in his lap, you know. And I even think when they were running towards him, he saw the knife. That's why people were like, you know, why he pulled the gun out so fast? Well, I'm sure he saw the knife when they were tussling towards him, and he couldn't even shoot. He couldn't even shoot at that moment in time because he would have shot a victim, an innocent person. You know, and that's when he was like, "Hey, stop!" You know, I mean, that cop, man, he ain't had no choice in that, man. It was almost like trouble found him.
Yeah. And the odd thing for me was, man, you know, the day before we had the situation happen in Winton Terrace where the 13-year-old girl stabbed and killed the other 13-year-old, Nyaira Givens. I believe I'm saying her name correct. But you know, that was a very unfortunate situation. You know, news reports said that she kind of bled out in her father's arms, you know, stabbed right in the neck area or something to that nature, at least from what I read. And it's so unfortunate, man. And we just seen that. That was the day before. Then the next day we actually see a situation where an officer intervened. So both of those situations very similar. Yet one of them involved police intervention, the other one did not. You know, and the question I posed to a lot of people was, you know, if that was your daughter in the pink, and that girl has stabbed that girl and killed her, and the officer was right there and didn't do anything, how would you feel then? And my reaction would be that I think people would be like, I'm suing the police. The police should have done something. They should have, you know, intervened in a way.
Yeah. So. A lot of people would have sued the police officer in the police department. It was gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, we seen with the Cal Plus situation, you know, how that unfolded. You know, they 911, and you know there was some operational errors there, and the city has since, you know, had to pay out for that. So I mean, you know, push on the show, it was a tough situation. I got some questions, Gerard. I'll let you get in a second, but I got some questions. One guy said, if a taser doesn't work, then why have them? And I think you spoke to that a little bit. I think you said, it's on the Facebook Live.
Oh, you want me to reiterate it?
Yeah, reiterate that. Yes.
All right. In some situations where tasers don't work, if someone has on thick clothing, it's not going to connect. The taser has to get skinned. If someone has on thick clothing, especially in the wintertime, that taser ain't going to work. And two, you have to shoot at a certain distance in order for the taser to even work. And there's 2 barbs that come out in the taser. And if those barbs don't connect, it ain't going to work. It's almost like with a taser, you almost got like a 50-50 chance of the tool working. Especially when somebody's moving and running, it's pretty hard. So that's the reason why sometimes it don't work. And then if somebody's adrenaline is rushing, that person not gonna feel that taser.
Let me ask you this:
or if somebody's on drugs, depending on what type of drugs they on, they not gonna feel that taser.
Let me ask you this: so someone then commented about what kind of judgment, training, and character assessment goes on during the hiring process for a police officer. Apparently this individual, very critical of the situation and thought that something else should have been done besides using deadly force. And one of my assumptions is that, if someone's responding with deadly force, the police should then use deadly force. Help me understand that.
So what type of character background they use? Yeah. In the hiring process?
Yeah.
Well, you have to do like it's like a questionnaire, and it's probably 500 questions they ask, and then you got to meet with the psychologist, like a psych person, and you go over that. You have to go over the questions with that person. They interview your neighbors, and sometimes they interview your teachers. And you need at least 3 recommendations from somebody who, like from an employer or somebody from the community. I mean, it's a pretty thorough background. Mm-hmm. And then you got to do a medical
Yeah. Okay. But no, I was just going to say, Sean, I want to dig as deep as possible. Like, tell us about your hiring experience. So from what I'm hearing, just to recap, you had to do a medical exam. They interviewed your neighbors. They may have interviewed your teachers. You had to do, was it a 500 questionnaire or 200?
Man, that put it like that. Put it like this. The questionnaire probably took me hours.
Okay. And then also there was a psych exam as well, right?
No, the psych exam and the psychological test is the same.
Okay. Did you have to meet with the psychologist?
Yep.
A psychiatrist? Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. And so is that the extent of the training?
I mean, that's not the extent of the training. That's the hiring process.
Right.
Okay.
So you got to meet with a psychological doctor before you get hired.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So when it comes to, I know we touched on this earlier. When it comes to someone having deadly force and attacking someone else, what would your thought process be in that particular situation when you see someone attacking? So we said in close proximity. Do you feel comfortable disarming someone who has a weapon? Like, what are your thought processes in regards to disarming someone who has a
weapon? I mean, first and foremost, man, you can't panic. That's for one. You ain't got time to panic. You gotta. It's like a Major League Baseball player. You see a ball coming 90 miles per hour, you gotta say, is it a fastball, it's a curveball. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to have good judgment.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have good judgment at the flick of a second, you can get hurt personally, or somebody else can get hurt. You know, I have personally been fortunate, you know, that I have practiced calming myself down. And if I get a call for service, say for a violent crime, I have practiced calming myself down while driving there and thinking of a good game plan on how I'm gonna handle this situation. You know,
can you give us an example? Have you ever been in a situation where someone had a deadly weapon that you've had to de-escalate?
Nope.
Okay.
Fortunately, I haven't been in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but in this particular, or when there is a deadly weapon involved, is there something within the police training that says this is how you respond, or is it situational based?
Every situation is different. You know,
okay.
every situation unfolds, you know, differently. The main thing as a police officer is don't panic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, assess the situation, you know, and deal with it accordingly. You know, don't go rushing in, don't get tunnel vision, because when you don't rush and when you don't get tunnel vision, you have good results.
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost. It's like a crowd control situation. If you see a whole bunch of, say, teenagers fighting, you know, don't jump in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you jump in, somebody can grab your gun or your taser, or you can get hurt. Next thing you know, you wrapped up in a fight. You know, assess the situation, tell other officers, you know, what's going on. You know, my main thing is just don't panic.
How would you respond to, I've heard this by many people in the public, that police officers are able to detain often white people who commit mass murder or violent crimes without any casualties. Why wouldn't they be able to do? So let's just exclude this situation that happened in Columbus. Just in general, why do you think it's why do you think there's been so many situations where police officers have been able to detain white assailants? We talk about Dylan Roof, we talk about Kyle Rittenhouse, other people who had weapons on them. Well, not Cal because he turned himself in, but been able to attain white assailants without casualties.
You know, I don't believe that narrative because there have been a lot of times where officers have responded to active shooters and they took the bad guy out.
Like for instance, in Dayton, you know, that was over a year ago. We seen the police respond and take that guy down, and he was getting ready to enter that bar, and they took him down.
Right.
You know, no one mentions that, obviously.
There have been plenty of, you know, active shooters where the police, you know, took the bad guy down.
Fifth Third Bank, downtown Cincinnati.
They took him down.
Took him down. He was actively shooting.
The only reason why I can see some, you know, active shooters survive the incident is because maybe if they saw the police coming, they threw the gun down and had their hands up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point in time, he's surrendering. If somebody surrenders, no matter how egregious the situation is, you know, you got to be like, all right, he's surrendering, and then they just come out peacefully. People always forget that, you know, SWAT teams respond to barricaded situations all the time where people, you know, kill a lot of people. But if the suspect surrenders, he surrenders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you can't do nothing if somebody surrenders.
So I want to, Mo, do we have any other questions? Because I want to kind of, I'm go ahead.
Not yet. Not as of yet. You can go ahead.
All right, great. Because I want to kind of steer into another direction that I had a conversation, and I want to get YouTube's opinions as Black men, where Black women feel that they aren't protected by Black men. And since this is the discussion, I felt this was a good place to have it. In that we aren't going as hard for them as they go for us. And don't get me, I'm gonna be the first to say I think Black women go in overdrive for Black men and overdrive for Black men. How, Mo, I'm gonna ask you as well. How do you respond to that? And Mo, have you heard that? Sean, you as well?
I've definitely heard that. those that know me, that know that I'm all about gender equity, right? I think women are some of the strongest people ever. In fact, they are the strongest. I don't like the narrative of someone referring, oh, quit playing like a girl or anything like that. I don't even like those type of terms being said. My mother, she's had to endure and overcome so much to raise 4 Black men in this world that we live in, and she's the strongest person I know. Hey mom, but no, she's one of the strongest people I know, right? So I, having been raised by a Black woman, my father died when I was young, and prior to that wasn't actively in my life. You know, I just can't. For me, me personally, I go by any means to protect Black women, and that's my perspective on it. Sean?
Man, I'm gonna say this. Overall, from a lot of stuff I see, brothers ain't holding it down, man.
Okay.
A lot. And I think some of my friends are starting to pick it up, but for the past few years, see, I'm not the type of friend that like to hold my friends accountable.
Accountability, yeah.
And my friends don't like it. I'm Mr. Nice Guy. But man, a lot of brothers is not holding it down, man.
Elaborate. Give us why. What does that mean? They not holding it down?
Just a lot of immaturity, man, and I don't even know where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of brothers are with a lot of good sisters, but like, dude, you're not even holding it down. Like, dude, you could at least put a ring on her finger or something. Like
well, maybe
we don't. Man, look, I feel like now we switch it to a whole nother topic,
which is perfectly fine. And this is what we do in the discussion.
It's like, dude, don't some of y'all want to be family oriented? Like, I'm not. Like, you got a good sister, she work at a good job, you got beautiful kids. Why are you trying to be out in the streets? For what? Spend time with your family. Like, you trying to hang with such and such, you coming at home late at night, drunk every night. Man, I just see a whole lot of sloppiness going on, man, with the way we treat Black women. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
No. And this is what we're having the conversation for. This is what we're having the discussion for, right? Because I think, to your point, Sean, I've seen that as well, right? But I don't think I could also say I've seen Black women not be the greatest to Black men as well. Like, I think that goes both ways, right? And it can depend on your friend group too.
I'm gonna say this. Dude, y'all going to a whole nother topic. I feel like there could possibly be a lot of more Black women that's more family oriented than Black men.
Oh yeah. Agreed. I mean, I don't think that's an argument. I mean, the proof's in the pudding there.
And sometimes even carry more integrity.
Oh yeah.
Carry more what?
Integrity.
More integrity.
Yeah. I mean, the Black family unit has been through so much and over these past decades. I mean, we look at the welfare. Yeah. But you look at welfare and the implications that had on basically the man, not having a man in the house. And, not having a man in the house allows you to get more welfare and things like that. The war on drugs and how that's removed Black men from the family units. I mean, there's just so much that has happened that for me, I find it kind of troublesome to say, oh, just Black men are tripping. I think the structure and institution and the foundation that that has been bestowed upon us is just so porous and so problematic that once we just got to continue to build that foundation so that we can have something to stand on.
But on the flip side, yes, there have been some adversities, But from a micro level, when you look at some people's situations, it's like, dude, you've been put in a situation where you ain't got no excuse but to hold it down. Like a lot of cats been raised right, but choose not to hold it down. And a lot of times, that's a lot of problems that I see. Like, yeah, Maurice, I definitely understand, like, some cats that's not holding it down, I'd be like, look, all right, I see the reason why, he has not been holding it down, because he has not had the structure to hold it down. But for some of the brothers who have had a structure to hold it down, have not been holding it down, and that's where I have an issue with.
Yeah. And to tie this a little bit, Gerard, before I jump in, to tie this into the situation with Miss Bryant, right before she was shot by the police officer, you saying they reported as a father or something?
Yes.
Basically soccer kicked the girl that was on the ground. A soccer kick to her head before, as she was on the ground. And in that situation, I'm kind of like, man, why couldn't someone, calm her down? Why couldn't someone, like, they allowed her to come in and charge and knock the one girl down and then come at the other girl with a knife? I'm like, there were men there that could have intervened before the police officer got there, right?
They should have intervened.
Yeah.
And I think so. And I know Sean and I talked previously, and Sean told us he was on the time restraint. So Sean, give us about 10 more minutes and we'll wrap up, all right?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Okay, cool. But I think that goes to Mo, what you were saying in regard to the family structure, right? As a man, as an adult, right? As an adult, but definitely I can speak as a man. As a man, we shouldn't be letting our people fight in that manner and leading them to those type of things. One thing is when we invite other people who's outside the village, and when I say outside the village, people who don't know our family, police officers, we invite chaotic situations, and sometimes that yields chaotic results. Now, I'm sure the father didn't want this to happen. He didn't want other people showing up at the doorstep. He was trying to protect his family. I don't know prior to, because it's not shown on the video, if he was trying to resolve that situation and breaking up. I don't think there's ever an excuse to kick a female in the head. I never think there's an excuse for that, but I just think there's a lot of trauma that has to be dealt with. But also, again, I want to reiterate, when you invite other people outside to try to resolve this situation, sometimes these are the results that it yields.
I completely agree.
So who was the man that kicked the girl in the head?
The media, I've seen media reports that it was a father. I'm not sure about that, but there was a man right before she got the girl pinned against the car. He kicked her in the head. Kicked the young girl that she had knocked down in the head.
See, they should have kept all them people in the house. So if somebody's texting you like, yeah, we about to come over your house and start some drama, as soon as you see them pull up, just stay in the house. All the police be like, hey, there's some people outside my house that's trying to fight you. Just stay in the house. Don't confront them. But if they break into your house, it's fair game at that point.
You have the right to stand your ground at that point, correct, Sean?
Inside the house, absolutely. But
okay.
If you have an opportunity to not be confrontational with that person, you should use the opportunity by staying in the house.
So going outside, do you relinquish your right to stand your ground if you go outside to confront that person?
See, with the house, stay your ground, I don't know if it's, that stay your ground is it has some gray areas to it. If you're inside your house and somebody is on your front line, does stay your ground say, or will the court or a prosecutor say, hey, you can push that person off your property? I don't know. But the thing is, don't even try to test the system with that. Saying, I was standing my ground. No, I don't think that's the stand your ground case, because you went out there to confront that person. I think more stand your ground is, if you're sitting in your car and somebody breaks into your car while you're in it, or you're walking down the street and somebody tries to fight you on the sidewalk, yeah, that's a little bit different. But to go towards someone, I don't think you're gonna have a good stand your ground case at that point.
More so if you're being attacked, that's when stand your ground comes into effect.
Yep, or if you're in your house.
Okay.
Because you safe in the house.
Yeah. I agree. You should be. All right. Well, with that being said, I just want to throw out a quick recap of some of the things that we covered. Right. One, there is an extensive, what seems to me to be an extensive hiring process for police officers. Right, where there's a psychiatrist who's brought into play to interview or to meet with the interviewee, the applicant. There's medical testing. There is interviewing of the applicant's neighbors and or teachers. There's also 3 recommendations required from a previous employee or community members.
Yeah, they want to at least have, minimum 3 to 5 recommendations.
And then there's and then in regards to the question of why wasn't a taser used in this situation with Ms. Bryant, it stated that the tasers aren't always effective, right? So it could have been pulled out, and if the barbs don't connect, it might not have stopped it. Plus, the adrenaline and the distance may have had a lack of effect as well, right?
Yeah, and then plus, it's a deadly force encounter too.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: so if they were just throwing punches, he should have easily pulled out his taser. Bam! He would have knew. All right, taser. Stop the
if she was throwing punches.
Yeah,
definitely use a taser.
Yeah.
So, and that was a great question.
That's a great question. Of course, you use the taser. That's why I don't want nobody to think I'm thinking you shouldn't, but But
no, that's a great question, because now it goes back to what Sean was saying earlier about how it's situational based.
Mm-hmm.
So deadly force. All right, man, Sean, man, I know I brought you in on a Saturday. We needed to have this. We needed to talk about the situation. I needed to get some perspective. Mo and I needed to get some perspective from an actual police officer, because there's a lot of comments being made by people who don't have the experience, and we just wanted to, and us included, we didn't have the experience, so we definitely wanted to just get some insight on what the process is like for a police officer. So I thank you for coming in for us, Sean.
Yeah, man, we can do this again. I can talk all day.
Yeah. Hey, for sure. Mo, do you got anything you want to add, brother?
Just your thoughts on the situation in Wind Terrace and the young lady Nyaira Givens, and just some of your thoughts on that situation.
I don't know nothing about the family. It's just an overall sad situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could have been arguing, fighting over who knows what.
Mm-hmm.
Kids gonna be kids, and kids gonna do some of the craziest things. That could have been sibling on. Were they cousins, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I thought I read that they were friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. For me, I it hurts because they're we kind of have situations like that, and I think that situation happened without any police intervention, and then you had the situation in Columbus happen with police intervention, and Miss Bryant, she there's obviously there's lots of calls for justice, and people think the police need to be held accountable, and with that, and then in this Miss Givens situation, it's just kind of like another black life lost to another black person, and it's just not. For me, that's all outrage. I think all black lives need to matter.
Mm-hmm.
not just ones that have encounters with the police, but all black lives. And in our community, we see far too many homicides. When you look at the top 10 killers of African American men in our country, homicide is one of the top 10. The only, black men, only one homicides top 10. that kills us, you know. And then you see these senseless these killings, you know, that happens in our communities, you know. And you know, also, I mean, obviously we're in this time where, you know, the police killings and things of that nature, you know, the Chauvin verdict, you know. And I don't think we talked about, I don't think you said too much about that, but you know, I was nervous about that. I was nervous, man.
Right.
I'm like, man, you know, if we don't get a guilty, you know, at least on the first one, it's gonna be pandemonium out here. I just want to know your thoughts on the Chauvin verdict. You know, we didn't talk about that a lot.
Man, that was nobody knew what was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
That was 50-50. You know,
50-50.
They
wow.
had some. I mean, it could have been a hung jury.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Right. Or all. Yep. You're right. You're right.
You know, it would either be a hung jury or not guilty or guilty, or it could have been 30-30. You know, percent. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
It could have been a hung jury. Because all you need is one jury to be like, nah.
I don't care what y'all talking about. Yeah. I mean, we seen the officer in the Walter Scott. Remember? I mean, there was footage. He running away from the police and he shoots him right in the back. You remember that?
That was murder.
And it was a hung jury. I'm like, wow.
From South Carolina?
Yes, a hung jury. And then they had civil rights charges, and he went ahead and pleaded guilty to the civil rights charges, which is what he's locked up for now. But his trial, his state trial, was a hung jury.
And well,
then
South Carolina probably a different rodeo down there.
yeah. I mean, but even here in Cincinnati, you know, we tried what's the officer? Ray Tenzing twice and two hung juries. You know?
Yep.
I mean, and I thought he should have been convicted. You know?
Yeah.
But you know, man, you know, it's a difficult and challenging job that you do, man. You know, I really thank you, appreciate you coming on and giving us your perspective. Gerard, thank you for making that connection, man. And you know, peace and blessings to you, and as you go out there and you know, risk your life to protect and serve. So just want to, you know, give you honor and things for you willing to do that. Brother Lindsay, anything else?
That's it, man. I appreciate you, Sean, man. We really do, man. Thank you. Just as being a black police officer, man, I think we need more black police officers controlling our community. Mo, I'm really happy about the work you continue to do in the community and the cases that you bring up with the Winton terrorist situation. So thank you for continuing to shed light on that.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I appreciate you. Sean, you got anything you would like to say before heading out?
Anything for our audience? Anything for our audience, buddy? Anything from a officer's perspective?
You know, for black police officers, I see two good applicants right here on the screen with me.
We working for the community in a different way, brother.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I feel it.
Yep.
I appreciate you, Sean, man. Mo, brother, have a great day. All right.
Thank you. Hey, thank you all. We'll be coming back to you, Gerard. This is probably news to you. May 7th. May 7th. Okay. Cool. I know you're out of town. You know, whatever. So May 7th. May 7th. Be watching out. Poster coming soon. Hey, thank you all for joining us on the discussion.
Take it easy, fellas.
Enjoy.